What's up, Illusioneers? It's the Wizard here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at my top 10 decks of playing cards as of the end of 2017. Coming in 10th place, we have the Bicycle Riderback or Bicycle Standard decks. Now, these decks have always made this spot just because of how affordable and how widely available these decks are. That being said, while this deck is not exactly ideal for cardistry, it is still a very solid practice deck, and for magicians, it is also a very versatile deck as far as practicing and performing is concerned. Coming in ninth place, I've put the Illusionist Keepers deck due to their ability to replace the Bicycle Riderback decks as a slightly more expensive but higher quality alternative. Now this deck nicely fills that role by having a simplistic tuck, a duplicate Queen of Hearts, two identical Jokers, and a back design that is very familiar due to its bicycle standard roots. Now on a quick side note, for those of you with the red version, you do have a marked deck, and that is just an added bonus. But for those of us with the blue version, we'll just have to settle with the upgraded handling capabilities that the Performance Coat Embossed Finish, Traditional Cut, and Casino Grade stock will bring to us. In 8th place, I've put the Theory 11 Nationals deck, available in black, green, and red. Now this deck has earned its spot due to its versatility in both Magic and cardistry, and I especially like the tuck case that has been embossed, printed with gold foil, and still has been able to manage to hide some details at first glance. Inside, you will receive 2 add cards and 2 identical Jokers in addition to the rest of the deck. And here is a look at the back design. Also, here's a look at the faces, and as you can see, every ace, every face, every court, and every pip has been fully customized. However, because of the nature of the custom courts, I have knocked this one down a few places on the list, just because some spectators might not be able to quickly identify what court card they have selected if they end up choosing a court. Aside from that, this deck handles as any Theory 11 deck should, as it does have a Performance Coat, an Embossed Finish, a Traditional Cut, and was printed on a Casino Grade stock at Q1 quality. In 7th place, I have put the Drifters playing cards by Dan and Dave. Now this deck has won its place primarily just because of the way it was designed. Now taking a look at the tuck case, all the details seem to fit rather perfectly, right down to the little quotes that have been snuck in on the side, sticker seal, top of the tuck case, front, and in a few other locations. Also, here's a look at the back design, and even the flaps have not been ignored in detailing. However, I dropped this deck in rank only a little just because the inside of the tuck was more or less ignored in comparison to the deck. And also, the final detracting factor was that the back design is not one of my top favorites. But here's a look at the Ace of Spades, and as it has hinted, the rest of the deck has also received full customization, but not to the point where any of the cards are unrecognizable. That being said, this deck handles very similarly to a Theory 11 deck, aside from the stock being slightly thinner. In 6th place, I've put the Theory 11 Union deck. Now this deck has won its spot due to having a theme that is well suited towards cardistry while maintaining a simplistic vibe. However, the one thing I didn't like about this deck, despite it coming with a double backer and also 2 identical Jokers, was that the design of the court cards and also some of the face cards isn't quite as ideal as I would like for Magic. So, that being the case, while this deck can be used for Magic, I definitely recommend it more as a cardistry deck. As far as how this deck handles, the borders are quite thin, and this deck does handle as you would expect the normal average Theory 11 deck to. So that being the case, you will not have any issues whatsoever working with this deck. In 5th place, I've put the Memento Mori deck by Chris Ramsey. Now this deck has won its spot due to having a design that is friendly towards both Magic and cardistry. With this deck, you get 2 identical jokers that feature Chris Ramsey's logo, as well as 2 cards with info about this deck. Also, here's a look at the back design. And here's a glimpse of the Ace of Spades. Now just looking quickly through the faces, every face, every pip, and also every single court card has been given its own colorations and its own stylistic flair. That being said, the design work on this deck is definitely one of my favorites, even though, again, it's not quite as good for Magic as I would like. But for cardistry, this deck is absolutely stunning to use. This deck handles incredibly well, and there are absolutely no issues with this deck. And my only one piece of grief with this deck is that it was printed on a stock that is slightly thinner than that of a Bicycle Standard, and it doesn't feel to be quite as durable. In 4th place, I've put the Madison Kings deck. Now this deck has won its spot due to having a very nice message with it, a couple of nice little quotes, and a minimalistic design that keeps both the Magician and the Cardist in mind. Now with this deck, you get an Angle Z Gaff card, you get a double-backed playing card, and you get 2 jokers, and these jokers are the weapons of the Kings, the sword and the axe. Now taking a look at the back design, it is a minimalistic back that, as I said before, is suitable for both magicians and cardists. Also, this design, as far as I could tell, leaves absolutely no room for suspicion that the deck is marked. Now looking at the faces of this deck has Bicycle Standard faces, with some of the court cards featuring customization, and as a result, it will have absolutely no issues at the card table or anywhere else. As far as how this deck handles as you would expect any other Illusionist deck to, and there are absolutely no issues whatsoever on that front. In 3rd place, I've put the Illusionist Artificer deck. Now I've ranked this deck so high because of its versatility in both Magic and cardistry, while still carrying a message behind it. Now opening up the tuck, with this deck you will receive 1 ad card, a double-backed playing card, and also 2 identical jokers, except one of them will come with a reveal. Taking a look at the back design, while the back is still not my most favorite design, it is still up there on the list, and because of that, I felt that this deck deserved the number 3 spot. In addition, the deck has been fully customized right down to the court cards, the pips, and the faces, but it does not edit the look so much to where the cards are unrecognizable, and the spectator will still have very little trouble discerning one card from another. However, I did not rank this deck quite as high as I would have liked, just because the spades are not quite as clean-cut as what they should be in comparison with the rest of the deck. Aside from that, this deck handles as you would expect any Illusionist deck to, and there's absolutely no issues whatsoever working with these cards, either at the table or in flourishes. In 2nd place, I've put the David Blaine Split Spades deck. Now this deck ranked in the number 2 spot because of its versatility in both Magic and cardistry, with a heavy emphasis on the practicing and performing magician. Now with this deck, you receive 1 double-backed playing card, a blank face card, and also 2 identical jokers. And this is one of the few decks that I know of that provide that much in the way of bonuses. Also, on the silver edition, the back design has been printed with a metallic silver ink, as well as having faces that feature more metallic inks. And as a result, this is by far one of the most luxurious decks that I have ever laid my hands on. However, the only reason I didn't rank this deck higher, as it does handle without any issues and can go through the flourishes without a problem, is that this deck on average will run in excess of $20 for one deck on the internet. As a result, the price alone was enough for me to knock it down from the number 1 spot to the number 2 position. And finally, last but not least, in first place we have the Theory 11 Monarchs. Now this deck has won its spot due to its versatility in both Magic and cardistry, and the Navy Blue Edition has a special place because of the inclusion of a double backer in the earlier versions, as well as, it would seem, the late 2017 version as well. Aside from that, this deck also comes with 2 identical jokers, which are a nice touch, and is available in red, green, and less commonly gold, black, silver, and I think there are a couple other little variations that I have missed. But aside from that, here's a look at the Ace of Spades. And as that ace hints, the rest of this deck is not really custom in comparison to a Bicycle standard deck, but nonetheless is still good enough custom-wise to where it makes a very good showing. In addition, this deck handles as the average Theory 11 deck would, is very durable, and all around is absolutely amazing to work with. So that's it for this top 10, and if there are any decks that you think I missed, please be sure to let me know which decks and why down in the comments section.